Thank you for your strong support. It's not me who should be applauded. I think it's all of our achievement, common achievement. And I really thank you for strong engagement and support for what we have been doing together with you for humanity. And I'm deeply, deeply touched by your recognition of the multilateralism's triumph of multilateralism. Again, I thank you for this opportunity. This seems to be the largest gathering since Paris. We had more people in Paris. And I'd like to really thank Ms. Mindy Luber, President of CERES, and Senator Timothy Worth, Vice Chair of the United Nations Foundation, and Kathy Calvin, President of the UN Foundation, and Mayor Michael Bloomberg. He has a more important title, a Special Envoy for Climate Change of the United Nations. He has made a great, great effort. And I'm also very happy to see Madame Ségolène Royal, Minister of Environment, who has been making a great contribution in climate change in Paris. Thank you for your coming together. I think this is the second time already after Paris meeting to come to New York. And also we have another heroine, Christina Figueres, Executive Secretary of UNFCCC, and I thank you. And distinguished leaders of business communities and government and civil society. It's a great pleasure to be with you. Again, I thank CERES and UN Foundation for organizing this very important gathering to demonstrate our commitment to action. Now, there is a very nice, even though not perfect 100%, very solid and ambitious, very ambitious and far-reaching climate Paris Agreement. But it's now our responsibility, moral and political responsibility to put them into action, all Sustainable Development Goals and Paris Agreement. I thank everyone in this room who has helped to seed the ground for the historic Paris Agreement through your investment, your advocacy, or your example as a corporate climate leader. It was a long and difficult journey towards success in Paris. Longest, 18 years, maybe shortest, 9 years during my time as a Secretary General, even shortest calculation. So during last 9 years, we've been working very, very hard. While people have been talking all the times, they were very much reluctant to make a move. But this time we did. That was, I think, our common victory. But today I stand before you with a newfound hope that together we can and will meet the climate challenge. We have entered the new era of clean energy growth that will fuel a future of opportunity and prosperity for every person on the planet. To keep climate change high on the world agenda, I'll host a signing ceremony of this Paris Agreement on April 22nd. I have already sent out invitation to all world's heads of state and government, and I expect that most of them will come to put their names to make sure that this agreement will be ratified and come into effect as soon as possible. We need 55 countries, at least 55 countries, the trigger provision, 55 countries and 55% of total global greenhouse gas emissions. We may need for this 55%, maybe 3-4 countries like China, United States, and some other. Then it will easily become 55%. But we need to have at least 55 countries joining. So that's our target, to make it as soon as possible. To realize the commitment and aspiration of Paris Agreement, we need scaled up action now at every level. at every level, from the local to the regional and global. Your leadership, your advocacy, and your investment are vital. Ladies and gentlemen, the Paris Agreement marks a decisive turning point for global cooperation on one of humanity's greatest challenges. In Davos Forum, I talked to many business and government leaders that it seems that there is a tendency to believe that now that the Paris Agreement is done, it's now government. We have done all what we have done. But it's now, real action starts now. The business, particularly business community and civil society, you have to continue to push government so that they will keep this agreement. It marks the beginning of the end of growth built solely on fossil fuel consumption. The once unthinkable has now become unstoppable. So this train is moving. It started the station, Paris station. It has to go. It has to moving. Governments, business, and investors around the world are realizing that the transformation to low emissions, climate resilient growth is inevitable and mutually beneficial, and it's already underway. The 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda and Paris Agreement on climate change provide an unprecedented opportunity to reduce climate risk and maximize clean energy prosperity that leaves no one behind. The direction of travel, our travel, is clear. In Paris, 196 parties said world must end its reliance on fossil fuels and be carbon neutral by the end of this century. This Paris Agreement provides a durable yet flexible framework. There are transparent rules of the road to monitor progress and enhance accountability. Markets now have the clear signal they need to unleash the full force of human ingenuity and scale up investment that can generate low emissions, resilient growth. The world now counts on you to act at the speed and scale needed to transform the global economy. To keep global temperature rise well below 2 degrees and even 1.5 degrees, we must begin the shift away from fossil fuels immediately. We need massive scaling up of investment in clean energy and energy efficiency. That includes providing modern, sustainable energy to more than 1 billion people who currently live without it. That is the route to ending poverty, in increasing opportunity, and laying the foundation for sustainable global economic growth. In 2015, clean energy investment stood at around $330 billion, more than 6 times higher than in 2004. This is a good down payment, but far less than the clean trillion needed annually throughout the coming decades to keep temperature rise to acceptable levels and limit the risks from climate change. Today, I call on the investor community to build on the strong momentum from Paris and seize the opportunities for clean energy growth. I challenge investors to double, at a minimum, their clean energy investment by 2020. Sustainable clean energy is growing, but not nearly fast enough to meet energy demand, which is required by what science tells. Investor community is of critical importance if we are to move from aspirations to action. Ladies and gentlemen, I have 5 steps I'd like to tell you which are needed to turn the aspirations of Paris into action on the ground. First, we must ensure that the national climate plans of developing countries are financed. Institutional investors are in a particularly strong position to provide a significant amount of capital needed at scale. The national climate plans offer a wealth of investment opportunities in energy and sustainable infrastructure. The financial innovations in clean energy are sweeping the globe, including the developing countries. In fact, non-OECD countries are now investing more in clean energy than OECD countries. Second, pension funds must use their influence as investors and shareholders to accelerate the rapid decarbonization of the economy. Third, I call on the banking sector to continue scaling up the green bond market while changing its lending practices to support green investment and reflect the growing risk inherent in the brown economy. Fourth, I call on the insurance industry to strengthen climate resilience and disaster risk reduction efforts, especially in the most vulnerable countries. Fifth, investors need to know how the impacts of climate change can affect specific companies, sectors, and financial markets as a whole. These risks must be more clearly disclosed. I also challenge governments to create a level playing field for clean energy investment through carbon pricing, moving fossil fuel subsidies, and strengthening stable and predictable regulatory and investment environment. Ladies and gentlemen, investors and businesses that redirect resources to low carbon, climate resilient growth will be the economic powerhouses of the 21st century. Those that fail to do so will be on the losing side of history. Every decision on investment and resource allocation must be part of the solution. Every dollar must be invested in low carbon goods and services. The private sector is the engine that will drive our action to the desired destination. Each of you has a major role to play. I thank you for your efforts to date and look forward to continuing our work together to usher in the new era of low carbon prosperity. In a world of scarce resources, you provide one of the rarest of all commodities, leadership by example. I thank you for your strong leadership. Thank you very much.